Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Welcome one and all to the Dukes of Gaming podcast. I'm your host, Thomas, the Duke of Anime. And it's good to be here with my fellow Dukes. Joining me first and foremost, we have the Duke of Nostalgia. How are you, Taylor?
I am keeping busy. I'm doing quite all right. Just a lot of driving, a lot of graduations happening this weekend. A lot of people I know are graduating, so
It's graduation season.
It sure is. So, yeah, that's all I've been up to.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Now, second foremost, we have the Duke of Education. How are you doing, Alfredo?
As the Duke of Education, I don't think you can say second foremost, but I'll make an exception this time. I'm doing great. Games are finally starting to come out again, and yeah, having a lot of fun.
Are they?
Good to hear.
Yeah, I mean, not like games, but like games.
We'll get into it. We'll get into what games are here, what games are not coming. But third foremost, we have the Duke of Design. How are you, Ben?
Excellent. I have to ask, what kind of anime you've been watching lately, Duke of Anime?
Ooh, so the anime that I have been consuming is Steins Gate Zero, the visual novel.
Oh.
So
how does it compare to the original Steins Gate visual novel?
I actually like it a lot. I never played the original Steins Gate visual novel. I played the Steins Gate Elite. So it's basically a mix of the anime. It's a mix of the anime and the original visual novel.
Okay.
Huh.
And I don't think I like that. I didn't like it very much. So playing Steins Gate Zero as the original visual novel experience, to me, just feels better. So I love it so far. I'm going to replay the original Steins Gate's visual novel just to see how it originally was presented. But yeah, I recommend it if you like the original.
Even the first one, I tried to do the first visual novel just like I did with the TV show. It was just so drawn out, so boring. I couldn't get into it.
You got to get past the first 9 episodes of the anime.
Too many.
Nine is a lot. Yeah.
9 is a lot.
But Ben, you should watch what I'm watching right now. A little show called Tokyo Revengers. You would like it.
You would really like that. It's really good. Really good.
Nice.
I have a friend who's going to MomoCon next week, Alfredo, down in Atlanta.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
You should go. It's the anime convention of the year.
MomoCon?
Yeah, MomoCon down in Atlanta.
I heard about it. I didn't know they were doing in-person events again.
Yeah.
See, I'm still getting used to this thing where, I go out and socialize and not just stay glued to my screen. It's weird.
Same thing. I went to the Amish market for the first time since the pandemic, and it was weird being around all those people.
And you tried showing them your anime, and they were confused. They were like, "What is this? What are you talking about?"
Well, we can do Amish jokes all day, but before we do, what have we been playing this week, y'all? Who wants to go first?
I've just been playing Sid Meier's Civ 6 again, more continuously. And
Obsessed with it.
Huh?
Obsessed with it, like everyone else who plays it.
It's just draws you in, and you really want to get a little taste of every single empire you can be, every single civilization you can play as. You just want to flavor them, you want to taste them, you want to see what they're like, you want to lick them up, like little scoops of ice cream. And
I do have a question actually though. Are you building your nation peacefully, or are you more of a dictatorship, taking everyone's stuff?
I tried once. I tend to just kind of go Dominion. I try to just like take everyone over, war, and I do pretty well. I get to the late game nuclear stuff pretty quickly, and I'm like, boom, 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 goodbye. But then by turn 2050, which is the end of the game, I tend not to have been able to invade everyone because you have to wait a certain amount of turns for nuclear disaster sites to cool off.
Pesky nukes.
And I tried really hard to do some faith victories where you win through making your faith the biggest and best faith in the world. And every single time I do that, I'm always placed next to a really hyper aggressive civilization that's like, what are you doing? Sending your religious leaders into my territory. I'm going to fuck you up. And then they send their armies. And because faith, you can just buy troops with your faith points instead of money. I kind of genocide the whole continent by accident. Like I buy so many troops, and I'm like, if you're gonna come at me because I'm just spreading my religion, I'm not purposefully, but I'm gonna wipe you off the map. And so by the end of the game, every single person's my enemy because I've destroyed each of their civilizations, and I'm like, I can't do it peacefully.
So safe to say more Putin than Mandela.
What can I say? I'm a little Putin guy. What can I say?
Oh man. Okay. I love Civilization. I think it's just one of those franchises that I feel like everybody should play.
Oh yeah.
I think everybody should at least experience. To me, as far as like, I don't like strategy games like that.
Sure.
But there's something about Civilization and just the level of power you feel.
Because I don't know if it's because it's your characters and your empires are represented by real historical figures or what, but it does feel really cool to be sitting there and you're like, I'm Montezuma and goodbye everyone. I'm powerful. And you feel cool being this powerful leader. I will say, for those who want to play it right now, I don't know how long, but it is $14.15 for the entire collection of Civ 6. That's all the DLC included on Steam right now. So, Alfredo, I know you don't want to play it, but you should.
Well, it's not that I don't want to play it. It's that if I do play it, I probably won't play anything else for a very long time.
That's okay.
I don't want to be trapped, commitment. Okay. I'm scared of it.
That's a man who knows himself. I gotta respect that.
That's okay. Thomas, you got a PC now. It's better on PC than Switch.
I put in 60 hours on Switch. Just the thought of me putting double that, because I know if I play on PC, it's going to be a problem. I just know it. I know myself.
Okay.
So Ben, how long is it on sale?
We'll think about it.
I have no idea how long it's on sale.
I might just buy it, just keep it on safekeeping until I play it.
Fair enough.
Go to the old Steam backlog.
I love Civilization, and I first got into it in a very similar situation with Civ 5, where like the entire thing, all the DLC was $12. I was like, all right, F it. And I jumped in and I adored it. But I think of Civilization the same way that I think of XCOM. These are games, these are franchises that I love, that I really enjoy playing.
Sure.
That I'm absolute dog shit at.
You can't be good at Civ. You can't be good at Civ.
Does it have difficulty modes?
Some people are, but
some people are.
And
I don't. It frustrates me that I am as dog shit at these games as I am. I feel like XCOM is one that I want to get back to, and I want to like try to learn. but I don't know. Maybe Civ should be the
Start
one.
start with Mario Rabbids and
That's
learn
always
from there.
somehow on sale.
It is always on sale.
XCOM's a good game. Like,
Yeah.
oh, there was a little indie game like 3-4 years ago that was kind of XCOM-y. You were on a little isometric square map.
Into the Breach? Is that?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a cool little game.
Yeah, I forgot about that game.
That was a fun little game.
Don't think I've heard of that one.
So
Play it.
yeah, you should play it. So anything else besides Civilization
Nah.
6, or you've been fully invested in
I
Tyrant?
tried that meditation app you talked about. I forget what it's called, like Lotus or something like that. It's got a lotus as its
On Oculus?
yeah.
Shit, how do I not remember the name of it? I use it every day. I just click it. But yeah, hey, how you like it?
It's okay. I want to try some more Oculus stuff too. I'll probably use it a lot. I want to maybe try to set it up with some Bluetooth headphones, really kind of zone myself out, to really get immersed in that environment. But
I wish I could use my AirPods with it. That would be the dream.
Oh,
yeah.
would be so cool.
I know. Maybe the future. But Alfredo, what have you been playing this week?
I have been playing more Dragon Quest. So
Yay!
Dragon Quest 11, I talked about it last week. More of the same. Even more of an anime TV show than I thought was possible, which is not what I like about my JRPGs, but it is a very, very good JRPG. I did find the setting you were talking about, Thomas, in that you are able to control all of your party members if you switch like the default settings to do
Yes.
so. So I did that, and then I found myself going like, actually, this is taking too long, and
There's a reason why they haven't switched.
I would much rather them just control themselves because they know what to do. I trust my team, so I switch it back, and that's how I'm playing. And I only switch it if I really, really need it, but I never really do. So having a good time. My only gripe is that because it feels like an anime show, they have so many like short stories, basically like every episode in quotes is they have a lot of really, really good short stories that you go to town. There's this random thing happening in town that, you have to solve, not because it's related in any way to the mission, but because if you don't, then you can't get the item or whatever that you actually need to progress the overarching story. So they have these really cute anime short stories, 20-30 minute episode length stories that you go through, and they're pretty deep. Some of them are really, really tragic. Some of them are real deep. And I'm like, oh, this could have been so much better if it was like if they lengthened it out and like interweaved it more into the storyline as opposed to it being like this independent episode. So again, that's my only gripe with it. Still enjoying the combat, enjoying everything else about the game. But the main character does suck. He's very boring. But everyone else is great. So that's good. But aside from that, I finally decided to play a really, really highly anticipated indie game called Trek to Yomi, which is a side-scrolling, monochromatic, kind of like a beat 'em up. It's like a samurai. I guess it's more like not really a beat 'em up because you have a samurai sword. It's just a side-scrolling action game, basically. But this has been shown off a lot of times in the past, like at Xbox's shows. It's on Xbox Game Pass for free, so you can play it if you have that. So I finally hopped into it, and the first thing I noticed in this game, and what drew me to it in the first place, is how beautiful the artwork is. Like the monochromatic, it's set in it's a samurai story, basically. So you know what you're getting. It's a revenge samurai tale. It's not trying to recreate the formula. That's exactly what it is. So it's not doing anything in that department, but the art is like very, very breathtaking. There has been so many moments in this game that I've gotten to a point, and even in black and white, like it looks so good, so good. And the weird thing is that because this game looks so good, there's a bit of the gameplay, when it gets compared to the gameplay directly, and the game looks so good, but the gameplay is not. Like, it's so boring. The gameplay is really boring. So the gameplay is basically you have your samurai sword, you have sword combos that you basically unlock as you progress through the game, and you go through the game and you're just fighting these random enemies, and it is the most the way that the AI works is very, very, very Power Rangers like. So everyone will surround you, and they'll wait their turn to fight you. Basically, nobody attacks you while you're attacking someone else. Like, that has gotten modernized in things like Sifu. Like, multiple enemies might attack you at the same place, and if they do, they can hit other enemies, stuff like that. This game doesn't have any of that. It's just one by one kind of deal. And what is really bad, it's not that the gameplay is that bad, but it falls victim to the trap of there's no variety in the game. You're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And specifically, I find myself now, like 4 hours into the game, using the same exact 3-button combo, which is like slice, slice, stun, and then you use the button to finish them. So basically, as long as you stun them with the 3-hit combo that always stuns an enemy, regardless of enemy type or anything like that, it will just always work 100% of the time. You just cut them down with the finisher. So it's very easy. It's very repetitive, and at this point I'm just going through it because the game looks so beautiful, and I kind of do want to see the conclusion of the game as well, even though it's a standard samurai story. So if you have Xbox Game Pass, I'm not sure if I would recommend this one, to be honest. If you're interested in the art direction, definitely pick it up, try it, but don't do what I'm doing and don't just finish it for the sake of finishing it. I'm too far in right now to stop, because I believe it's only like a 6-ish hour game, so it's not a huge commitment. But yeah, that's what I'm playing, and hopefully I'll be done in the next day or so I can play a more fun game.
Which is Dragon Quest.
Sure.
Oh.
Sure, let's go with that. Actually, yeah, Civ 6, or what I really wanted to play is the new Evil Dead the game came out.
Oh, okay.
And I have it, but I did not have enough time to play it, and I didn't want to come on here and, give a half-assed review. So next week, I'll have things to say about that.
Is that a fully priced game?
It's $40.
Okay, that's not bad.
$39.99.
I was thinking about it because I love Evil Dead. I love Sam Raimi. So I was thinking about getting it. I want to hear your thoughts on it first.
I've been really excited because, as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of Dead by Daylight, and it's similar to that gameplay because it's a 4 versus 1 asymmetric, 4 survivors, 1, evil person. So very excited to play it.
Excellent. Ben, what have you been playing this week?
I have finally gotten around to a game that's been on my backlog for years and years.
Wow.
That game is Undertale.
Wow.
I remember when Undertale came out, I was still in college, and like everyone in the game dev scene at my college was like raving about this game and how amazing it was. And I kind of felt like the gimmick had been spoiled for me because everyone was talking about it, and it was, to some degree, it was spoiled for me. But what I wasn't expecting was how like silly this game is. How
that's how great
absolutely
it is.
Silly it is. And yeah, it's a really fun little game, and I don't know how much I can really say about it, just because so much has already been said about it, and it really it is kind of this little what feels like lightning in a bottle kind of moment that hasn't been replicated with this in large part subversion of classic JRPG
tropes.
Yeah, tropes and construction. So it's cool. It's a novel experience, and I really enjoyed it. I did not quite make my pacifist run. I spared absolutely everyone except for the first boss, Toriel, the nice lady.
You killed your mom?
Yeah.
What?
I did not know
No.
how to spare her, and I was on the plane. I couldn't look it up. So I was like, oh, I guess I have to kill her. And that was my first mistake.
Bye, Mom.
And then I played the rest of the game like a good boy and got screwed. But it was great. It was a good experience. Otherwise, I'm not going to play it again for completion's sake. But maybe once my platinum strike is done this year, I'll go back and get the platinum.
Slight spoilers. That's the first game, because I've been going back doing some Flash stuff. Flash games. Thomas, you were talking about Flash games last week. And that's the first game I remember where what you do in your first run affects your second run after you've completed the game outside of a Flash game. So if you go back and try to do a pacifist run, the game's dialogue will change a bit because the game knows what you did.
Right.
Like, how dare you? You can't change the past. Flash games do that all the time where you're like, oh, you lose and you reload the page and you've still lost because the game is made by trolls. But like, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that Undertale was like that. I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah, I never got around to actually playing it. I just watched a Let's Play of it. Really enjoyed it.
It's not the same. You got to play it. It's an easy game to play. How long did it take you, Ben?
Not long.
Yeah, it's
probably 7 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I played it on Vita. I was most of the way through it by the time I was done with my trip to and from the East Coast. So
Nice.
yeah, it was good. It was a good kind of weekend jam.
Cool. Well, I killed her too, Ben. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But love Undertale as well. I also am loving the game that I've been playing, and that's Perfect Tide. I don't think anybody's familiar with Perfect Tide, right?
not at all.
Nope.
So this is a indie point and click adventure that was released earlier in February of this year. It is on Steam. It's on Mac. And like I told y'all, I got my PC this week. Happy about that. And obviously, when you get something like a new PC, you're thinking, what am I going to play on this thing? Am I going to test this thing out? So I tried a whole bunch of games. I tried some games that are like Red Dead. I tried Prey. I tried like Forza Horizon, and nothing was speaking to me. I was like, this is the best these games have ever looked, but they're not speaking to me. And so instead, I started playing Perfect Tide. And Perfect Tide is a game that takes place in early 2000s. You play as a 15-year-old adolescent girl who's still trying to find herself, which even at 27 years old, that's something that I can relate to. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like you're still, even no matter how old you get, you're always trying to find yourself or trying to find where you're going. So specifically, this teen girl, she lives on this island it's one of those like small islands that is really attractive in the summertime, but all the other 3 seasons is pretty much dead. Nobody's there. It's only the people who live on the island that come. And she's not a popular person. She's kind of a loser in school. And just seeing her like with her family life, all the references that this game has, like when you you can log onto her computer and just hearing that dial-up sound, just hearing the that took me back.
That was pretty good. Thomas.
Thank you. I practice.
Yeah.
But just hearing that sound, I was like, wow. I totally forgot that that's a whole period of my life. And like she logs into AIM and she's like chatting with people. She's on this forum website where she's a writer as well. So she writes and she posts it on her on this forum for other writers to see and vice versa. And so she gets her first her first boyfriend ever is like on this forum. So it's like you're like IMing him. I'm like, that is really like taking me back to my days, like talking to people online, meeting people online for the first time. This game hits. I feel like this is a Clams game because it hits all the nostalgia points that I was not expecting a game in 2022 to hit. Like it is really an impressive amount of references in this game. It's not a perfect game by any means. Some of the puzzles are kind of cryptic. It has that old school LucasArts kind of feel where it's like if you don't get the answer, you're probably going to have to look up a guide. So it does have a little bit of that in it. And I'd like a game in 2022 to kind of be beyond that, but at the end of the day, to me, it's part of its charm. It really does feel like a game that was made 20 years ago, just released. The art is very similar to home movies on Adult Swim, and also a little bit of Bob's Burgers in there. So it's kind of like a mix between those two.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'm really enjoying it. I'm about 75% of the way through. Don't want to spoil anything, but there is a Final Fantasy VII reference in this game that it really did, that changed my perspective of this game. Like when that moment happened and the way they captured it in almost parody form, but it still hit the same way. I'm not going to spoil what scene it is, but anybody who's played Final Fantasy VII probably knows. It's just incredible. I highly recommend this game to anybody who has any bit of nostalgia for the 2000s.
I'm skimming through photos and stuff on the Google, and Princess Diana's in the game.
Princess Diana is in the game, yes.
Okay.
in a brief appearance. Yes.
Okay.
Sounds like my type of game as well. I love me a point and click adventure mystery, right?
Yeah,
I love Dead Royalty. It sounds like my type of game.
Well, that too.
Oh,
That's the first thing that caught my eye.
Oh man, I would say if your expectations are Princess Diana being a big part of this game, you might be sorely mistaken. But if you want some nostalgia-filled 2000s era vibe, highly recommended.
Yeah, it does have that the chunky pixel art feel from when things were going like kind of 32-bit. Like it's chunky. They feel like they can play around more, but it's uglier than some 16-bit and lower stuff. It's a neat. I like the art style. It's not pretty, but it definitely looks the time. It definitely.
I will say it definitely looks of the time, but also the actual art when the characters are talking looks really good. Like it looks like it's made by this person. Her name is Meredith Grand, and she writes some comic series. So she kind of takes that comic style and puts it into the dialogue boxes, and it just looks really impressive to me. I think she's the only person who made this game, I believe. So yeah, I highly
like Toby Fox did Undertale.
Yeah, and just to go back to Undertale for a second, I love when artists from another medium make games, because that's Undertale in a nutshell. Undertale, Toby Fox is primarily a composer.
True.
So when you give him a game, it's like, to me, Undertale music was such a big part of that game.
He's also an artist.
Right.
He used to post quite frequently, enough to be banned on the Homestuck web comic series forums. He used to post Mpreg fetish art as a joke on the Homestuck forums back in the day. And then he made a game, and then he went on to get one of his characters featured as a skin in Smash. And he composed music for the most recent Pokemon game.
Oh, really?
Not all of it, just one track, but still, to go from like being a troll on a Homestuck forum, composing music in your spare time. He composed music for Homestuck too, I'm pretty sure. And then to get your music on a Pokemon game and in Smash, it's just that's the American dream. That's the
goals.
only in America.
Crazy.
But yeah, I was just saying that just to say I love it when people from other mediums come in and make indie games, because I think that we get some very creative things. And just like Undertale, I think Perfect Tide is a really good mix of somebody who writes comics and writes like really good comic storylines, taking that and making a whole point and click adventure. I love to see it and hope to see more like it.
Who would your dream media jumper be?
I would love to see what a Kendrick Lamar game looks like.
Okay.
Kendrick Lamar is one of my favorite artists, and he dropped a new album this week. I would love to see what a Kendrick Lamar point and click adventure would look like.
Point
I mean,
and click.
Kendrick Lamar may have, but so did My Chemical Romance. So
The thing is, I don't know a thing about My Chemical. Is that Jared Leto's group?
No, that's 30 Seconds to Mars.
Sure
you're
it's
thinking.
not.
There we go. I don't. That's not my genre.
Ben, are you in the cult? How did you know that? Like off the
I
top
was
of your
gonna
fucking
say
head?
he has.
I used to love 30 Seconds to Mars from their first two albums. Were fantastic. I was super into them in middle school, but yeah, that's how I know that.
It's fair.
Wow.
That's true.
I didn't even know
No,
he
Kendrick
had
Lamar would be a
wow.
good choice. I could see him at least being part of a video game.
I can see it too.
Yeah.
My vote was gonna go to Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Doing what?
A point and click, obviously.
But Alfredo, Rampage is already a game.
but a point and click, that
But a
could be
point and
like
click.
gold.
Point and
Everyone
click.
needs to make a point and
Dwayne The
click.
Rock.
All I'm
See,
saying.
I could use a point and
Fair enough,
click
point
like
and click.
Buddy Cop with Dwayne the Rock Johnson and Kevin Hart. I could use that.
I could go for that too.
I don't think they would be involved. I think they'd sell their likeness.
No, they're gonna code. They're gonna code in everything.
Yeah,
They're gonna code it.
obviously.
Famously, technologically adapted Kevin Hart.
hmm
Well, speaking of coding, there is going to be a lot of coding going on in the next 7 to 8 months because we have 2 game delays, y'all.
Hmm.
This year is looking less and less like the best year of gaming. We'll get to that in a second because let's talk about Starfield and Redfield. Oh, I did it.
You did
I
it.
did it too.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is because they're all different names, but they're very close together. Starfield and Redfall have been officially delayed until 2023. No specific dates yet, which is probably good. But Bethesda promises to release or to at least show us both games at the showcase that's coming up. I don't think we have a date for that either, do we?
We do.
We
It's
do.
June 12th.
June
It's for
12th.
the Xbox Game Showcase. Yep.
So hopefully we'll get gameplay of both of those. But what is everybody feeling about these 2 games getting taken off the board for 2022?
I feel
Ben,
like
you
you guys
look
were all saying that Starfield was going to get delayed, and I was like, no,
Yeah.
no, it's not going to get delayed because that date is too good. 11/11/22
iconic.
is too
I feel like
good.
I was with you, Ben, because I feel like I said the same thing. Like, I don't think they're going to delay this.
See, I was like, I think this is gonna get delayed, but I'm too scared to use it as a counter pick. Because what if I'm wrong?
It's
Then I'm
Bethesda.
screwed for picks.
It's a 97 on Metacritic.
No,
Right.
at this point, is anyone surprised Bethesda's dropping balls?
Well.
Are any of us shocked?
I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
I thought
is-
that one of these 2 games would definitely come out. I didn't think both of them would be delayed. So
This is
that
why-
is the shocking part for me.
Their Fallout 4 strategy is just unbeatable. You just don't talk about the thing until 7 months before it comes out. And
That's true.
yeah, I mean,
That's fair.
I think the thing is they were allowed to make Fallout 4 in almost a vacuum. Because when it came out, it was immediately met with something like The Witcher 3, which showed kind of how antiquated it was.
Well, I like Fallout 4.
I did too, but like seeing it next to Witcher 3 and everything that The Witcher 3 did showed me, okay, Bethesda can definitely do better.
Oh yeah,
And that's
then-
what I'm saying.
and then 76 just
Yeah. And so I think there's been too many. Like Fallout 4 is not considered one of their best games ever. And obviously Fallout 76 is not considered one of their best games ever. So I do think they want to knock this one out the park. And I do think the shadow of Cyberpunk, sorry. looms very-
Cyberball. Not on a
Cyberball.
game called
Cyberball.
Cyberball.
But I think the Cyberpunk shadow reigns heavily in the industry.
Yeah.
Where nobody wants to be known as the next Cyberpunk,
Yeah,
Yep.
that's fair.
especially Bethesda.
no, they can't take that
They
again.
can't,
Not again.
afford. And Microsoft won't let them. The one thing I will say, I think the one thing I did say before was Microsoft will delay this game if it means it's not going to be buggy. Like maybe it was in a state that their games usually are in when they release, which are buggy messes, and maybe Microsoft said no. Like there's too much riding on this. Is a Game Pass game. Like this is not just a Bethesda published game anymore.
We should do an in-depth discussion about Bethesda one of these days, because I'm looking at their website and I'm like, they got some real turds, but they also have some amazing games.
Mhm.
They are so hit or miss.
Publisher or developer, Bethesda?
Publisher?
Okay.
Because then you get like you can get like, you got Deathloop, you got
Mhm.
Ghostwire Tokyo, you got
Mhm.
Skyrim, you got Fallout, you got everything. Doom.
They got some hits. They have a lot of wide-reaching genres of games, and when like Deathloop and Doom are like just completely different types of games. Bethesda publishes both of those.
Yeah.
But they
But
still
as far-
have that, Bethesda feel to it. I mean, whenever I'm playing a Bethesda game, I can always tell, oh, this is a Bethesda
You can
game.
kind of sniff it. I agree with you,
Yeah.
Alfredo. You can
Okay.
kind of sniff out a Bethesda game.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I never thought of it that way. Huh. Okay.
Well, I only think of that because I'm not the biggest Bethesda fan. Like, none of their games have really grabbed me. Like, even the most popular ones, like Skyrim and Fallout, they've never. It is something about that Bethesda touch that doesn't exactly jive with me, but it's cool for everyone else who does.
Well,
but
to all
yeah,
the cool,
it's something.
to all the cool people in the room, Thomas and Ben. Do you remember those days when like Bethesda was like at the top of their game? I'm going nostalgia for a second.
It's been a while, right?
when Skyrim and Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas were like the rage. Like those were fun days on the internet. Those were crazy days.
Yeah.
Do you know you sound like Taylor? The Duke of Nostalgia. That is high school days for me.
Those are high school days. They are a long time ago, but getting longer every day. But
And I feel like that window around, I mean, like, I guess around the release of Dishonored, because that was when it was clear that it wasn't just Bethesda Game Studios.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Because it was 2010 Fallout New Vegas, or 2009, I forget.
Yeah.
2011 Skyrim, 2012 Dishonored.
Yeah.
And it felt like every year they were putting out something
good,
incredible
solid.
in just like genre defining in a lot of ways. I mean,
Yeah.
Skyrim absolutely set the bar for Western RPGs, and New Vegas in a way set a bar for Western RPGs, and
Mhm.
and Dishonored certainly brought back the dormant immersive sim.
It
genre
did
at
what
that point.
it did what Thief wanted to do.
Mhm.
That Thief remake in I think 2009.
2014 actually. The Thief remake came out after Dishonored.
Oh, really?
Oh,
It did,
really?
Yeah.
My timeline's all messed
I
up.
think
remember
I
playing
think the
the game and just
Deus Ex Human Revolution came out before Dishonored did.
playing it. That's true.
But Human Revolution was not as well thought of a game as it is now when it came out, because the director's cut version of that game fixed a lot of problems that were inherent to the original. Even still, like, Deus Ex Human Revolution is a lot more split, I think, than in terms of opinion than Dishonored is. But I think a lot of that has to do with the weight of expectation. Deus Ex being that probably most important game in the genre.
Right.
Coming next after that game is a tough act to follow.
That does lead me to I guess my immediate thought when they officially delayed these two games, because I started to think about, okay, what does Xbox and Bethesda specifically have coming out this year? Like, what do we have to look forward to? And with Xbox, I can't really think of anything besides Starfield in particular that I was really looking forward to coming from them.
Alfredo, they have this great long-running franchise called Madden 2023 dropping this year. They also have NBA 2K.
Hell yeah.
So-
Love me some sports games, you know me.
But that is what Xbox has coming, like, as far as I know. As somebody I love my Xbox, had a great time with it. It's not looking that great as far as exclusives coming out this year. And part of me thinks that's just fine. Like, I think that's fine. I don't think that they need anything this year.
Well, they don't, because they have everyone else basically putting games on Game Pass for them.
Right. That's the thing. Like they can always have the announcement, this is coming to Game Pass. This is coming to Game Pass. And that's going to be enough to last through the year.
Yep.
So I don't see it as a bad thing, but it's a fact that there's nothing coming this year from an exclusive standpoint.
Well, actually, the only thing I can think of from Xbox coming out is maybe Hellblade 2, but I believe that's supposed to come this year.
That's true. That screams delay. To me, it just screams delay because it's just like we have not heard any. Maybe we'll see something on the showcase.
Yeah,
possibly.
we've seen one like cut. Well, it was actual gameplay, but it was more like a cinematic gameplay kind of deal. So I could definitely see that game coming like around October-ish, honestly. Seems like that type of game, but fingers are crossed for that. Because
that game's not. I don't think that's a game that's going to set the world on fire.
Sure.
Like I'm gonna like it because I like the first one, but I don't see.
It's not a Starfield.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, none of these games are going to sell well anyways because they're on Game Pass. But I don't think a lot of eyes are going to be on that when it launches.
This makes me think about like I'm still arguing in my brain about PS5 or an Xbox, and I'm still leaning PS5 a little bit because I'm excited to see where their little subscription plan goes. But that said, because you were just talking about sports games, the small little anecdote, the small little shipment of PlayStation 5s that came into Charlottesville the last month, all of them were bundled with MLB Show 22. So you had to buy that game with your PS5.
That's how they get you. That's how they get it.
At full price, I bet.
So all the thrift stores are full of MLB games for the PS5 right now. But I'm worried about like I don't really care about Skyrim because Thomas, like you said, Witcher kind of made me think like that's where fantasy games should be. Way cooler, way more fun, way more engaging than Skyrim. So no more Elden Ring games for me that I'm not looking forward to Elden Ring 6 or whatever. But
you said Elden Ring 6?
Oh shoot, did I really? Elder Scrolls 6. I'm not neither really, and I'm worried about how far out another Fallout game is. Like it could be like 20 years before I play another Fallout game. That actually makes me happy. It's just sad. It's just sad.
Ben's son will be approaching high school years.
My God.
He'll be on Neo Reddit, the future Reddit, talking about the new Skyrim game. It's gonna be great.
Will, of course, be in the metaverse.
Unless, and there have been rumblings.
Oh,
unconfirmed rumblings, because Microsoft now owns Obsidian.
They do,
and Bethesda. Fallout New Vegas 2.
Ooh.
Or the spiritual successor to Fallout New Vegas. So not all hope is lost. However, I think most hope is lost.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
even
happening.
if it isn't, who knows when that'll come? 20 years probably. Like so.
I think dare to dream is the phrase that applies here because that would be perfect. And it makes sense, but a lot of things that make sense don't happen.
Obsidian's also already working on like 4 games right now. They're making
the
Outer Worlds 2. They're making this Grounded game.
They're making Outer Worlds 2
I didn't know they were making Grounded, huh? Or they made Grounded. Didn't know that.
Yeah. And they are making Avowed, which is their Skyrim version. They're like first-person version of the Pillars of Eternity games. So it's a first-person version set. First-person game set in that world.
Okay,
that could be cool.
So this New Vegas 2 would be their 4th game, which is a little absurd. They're not a very big studio.
So your son might be in middle school.
Yeah, the timeline moves up ever so slightly.
Hey, it's possible. Insomniac's doing it. They're working on like 4 games right now too. So
that's fair. That's fair. Well, speaking of other studios, I think we need to kind of talk about the fact that this year is not looking like it's going to be the greatest year of all time in video games. Are y'all feeling the same way as me? I remember there's a lot of hype specifically from a man named Cole.
R.I.P. Cole.
RIP Cole's prediction that this is going to be the best year in video game history. How are y'all feeling about that prediction?
Not at all.
Okay, what did we get so far? We got Horizon, right?
We got Pokemon. We got
Pokemon.
Horizon, great game. Pokemon, great game. Elden Ring, great game. Just
Kirby.
We can clear up.
Kirby.
None of us played.
Fine
None of
game,
us
I
played.
think.
Ben, have you played Wild West yet? I was thinking of playing Wild West. Weird West.
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't, and I don't know what's stopping me because I was so ready. I was so ready to play that game. I think it just came out right before I started. I was out of town for a while, and then I kind of forgot about it in the meantime. But yeah, I'm not sure how to feel. I'm kind of nervous to go into it. To be honest, I don't want to hate it.
Sure. What else has come out?
So I'm looking at the list of all the games that were scheduled to come out for this year.
Well, the other big one that missed is Breath of the Wild 2.
Big one, yeah.
Oh,
that was going to be
and Suicide Squad as well.
Suicide Squad was the other big one, yeah. Stalker 2 didn't get delayed out of this year.
It's
not coming out this year. No way. No way. You can't move your studio from Ukraine to Czech Republic and tell me you're going to get that game out on December 8th. I don't.
Rough.
So that's not coming out.
Same with Atomic Heart, I think is what it was called.
Oh yeah.
I think
there's no point in them releasing this year. Even if they did release,
if they did,
would we get to play it?
That's a good question.
If games that were being produced in the Ukraine end up getting released this year, no one else has any excuses. No other game developer has any excuses ever again.
I'm dead.
You're right. You're right. I think with Atomic Heart specifically, they're Russian. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, then they're fine. Thank God.
Well, yeah. Well, their production timeline might not be slowed down. However, will the game get released?
Yeah.
Will we be able to play it? I don't know. I don't know if
And would they release it if they can't get it to the States?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They can't have a worldwide simultaneous release.
Right.
Probably
so the game might be done, but they might not release it. Another game that got delayed is what's it called? I'm sorry. Oh, Forspoken. I really want that game to come out.
That game's coming out.
We're not getting Final Fantasy 16 or Forspoken. We're not getting both of them.
I don't know.
We're not getting both of them. We're only getting one of them.
We're definitely getting Forspoken. Final Fantasy 16's coming out January, February.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys think Final Fantasy 16 is coming out this year, and we haven't seen it this year? I don't think so.
Well, there are rumors saying that development is pretty much done, and they've just been waiting for a PlayStation showcase in order to show it.
I think we'll see it relatively soon. I think we might get that this year. I think we might not get Forspoken because Final Fantasy 16 has goodwill. I have not heard really anybody talking bad about it. I've heard a lot of bad comments about Forspoken.
Well, a window just opened up for Final Fantasy 16.
That's true.
I think they hit that 11/11/22. If they steal that, oh my, that would be so good.
Give me a holiday.
Is Ragnarok coming out this year?
It's on my fantasy, so it better. A lot of these games on my fantasy, so they better come out.
What about Nintendo Switch? Nintendo Switch Sports came out.
Bayonetta 3 better come out.
That's
Splatoon 3 is set to come
out. Alfredo. It's coming out. Splatoon 3 is definitely coming out.
Hogwarts Legacy is coming out. That might take the world by storm.
That's coming out.
Honestly, if that game comes out, it might, because there might not be anything to really compete with it as far as a zeitgeist thing.
Yeah, because it's slated holiday, right?
And if that's not a holiday game, I don't know what is. That is that could really, it could be even bigger than I thought it was going to be. That could be the highest selling. Well, it's not. Call of Duty is going to be the highest selling, but it might
definitely has more room to breathe now that Starfield's out of there.
Yeah,
for sure.
There's another Pokemon coming out this winter.
Oh yeah,
holiday winter. That's Scarlet and Violet's coming out winter 2022,
and that's not getting delayed.
No, I no. Pokemon never delays.
Right.
No matter what the quality is.
It's
But
kind
if
of fine. All they have to do is copy paste. It's fine.
right.
I mean, but if it's good and it's copying, it's using the same engine that Arceus was on. If it's good and it plays like a normal Pokemon game and it's better quality, bigger, open world atmosphere, people are gonna eat that up. So
I know I will.
Yep,
yeah.
same. Even
Uh,
though I'm a hater for Pokemon, still buy it probably.
That's
Oh,
true.
and smaller game, but Advance Wars. I don't think that's coming out this year.
I thought it already did.
They delayed it because of the war in Ukraine. So
That
I don't.
war.
I don't think that you can release that game this year. And
Mm.
I just feel like Nintendo's going to want to stay away from that.
I'm shocked at how many games are affected by Ukraine. Like that, I'm not. I guess I shouldn't be because like there's like a stereotype of Eastern Europeans being like internet hackers, and pro coders, but it's just weird. I never, I never gave a shit about. Oh my god,
Thomas,
they hacked him. They hacked Thomas.
They hacked him. No.
Guys, you got to save me. You got to save me, guys.
No, I'm hacking back. I'm hacking back. I'm
Just
hacking
for
as fast as
listeners,
I
Thomas
can.
is off the grid.
I'm hacking you with my remote. I'm
Wow,
hacking you.
worked.
All right.
Good job.
I had to get a bat. I had to fight them off, but I'm good. I'm good.
All right, thank God.
I get myself back into focus.
Tiny Tina's Wonderlands landed with like no noise at all.
Didn't you say it was going to be like a really big game, Clams?
I did. I thought it would be. I thought it would be.
I mean, I think it did well for a Borderlands game. You know, I'm sure all the Borderlands people ate it up.
I think people tricked themselves, like myself, into thinking they actually liked Borderlands. I think people overestimated how much they enjoyed Borderlands. They were like, "Oh yeah, I loved Borderlands 20 years ago." Oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe the humor was kind of too Family Guy and stupid. Maybe the gameplay was kind of
too repetitive,
uninspired and repetitive.
Did you buy it?
No, I did. I don't care about. I forgot about it, and then I saw people talking shit about it. And I'm like,
Got you.
I guess it's not shocking. I played a little bit of Ollie Ollie World. That was fun.
That was a fun game.
Yeah. But that's just an indie game.
So what I'm hearing is that we don't have much to look forward to anymore.
No, it all kind of got crammed in the beginning of this year, and it's all kind of over.
I think we're getting. I don't think every single game we talked about is going to get delayed. Like I do think God of War is coming this year. I do think. Because to me, I don't understand a reason why it would get delayed. Like I don't like. There's no tangible reason to me. There's been
why is everything else getting delayed aside from Ukraine? It's COVID because it hit in the middle of the production cycle. So I have no doubt that there could be a delay with God of War. I mean, they've been pretty adamant that it's going to come out this year. But getting back to the broader question, I think we're like pretty officially out of the territory of this is a possible best year of games of game releases. So I mean, like just the loss of Breath of the Wild and Starfield alone, I think takes it out of that potential.
And you lost Suicide Squad too. Like that. To me, that's like the biggest nail. That's the biggest. That's the biggest nail besides those two, because I feel like that game had a lot of potential. Rocksteady usually makes pretty great games. And it's basically a new franchise almost. It's still obviously DC, but it was going to be something different.
And I mean, when partnered with Bebop, Rocksteady does great.
I honestly think for WB though that is the best course of action, because I can't imagine them trying to release Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad within like a month or two of each other.
That'd be bad.
That's asking a lot. That's asking a lot of consumers in like in an inflated world, you know.
Well, guys, will Gotham Knights save 2022? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so we just saw like more extended gameplay.
Yeah. And so are we obviously they dropped last gen support. It's one of the cases where to me I'm sitting there like, to me I don't care about that, just from the standpoint of it. I feel like this game's gonna look the same whether it's on last gen or new gen. It doesn't feel like, when I saw that, like the gameplay and everything, it looks like a game. Looks like a AAA game. It doesn't look like it's anything too extravagant graphic wise. I
Well,
think
I think it goes back to what you guys were talking about earlier about, how everybody is afraid to be the next Cyberpunk 2077. By dropping the last gen support, WB doesn't have to think about, oh, how is performance going to be on PS4 and older Xboxes? Like, we don't have to worry about getting heat for that. We can just focus on, we might not have the best graphics, but like as long as we can maintain, steady frame rate, it looks good, it plays well, and dropping last gen support will help in that matter. I'm really excited for Gotham Knights, period. I was just shocked to hear this news because, there are like 16 times the amount of PS4s and last gen consoles basically than it is for current gen. So I was shocked that they were willing to lose all of that profit just to put it on current gens only.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right that this is about Cyberpunk. I think they had no choice. I think they saw the state of the PS4 and Xbox One versions of this, especially the base versions of those consoles, and they were like, "There's no way. I mean, we can't release in this state."
It just shocks me that it took them 5 months, 5 months before that they just announced this. Why didn't they just?
That
in the
goes to
first
show
place
you,
say it?
they were. I mean, certainly the decision was made earlier, but they were legitimately developing the last gen versions of the game either in tandem or they tried to port them backwards.
Got you.
And they saw what it was going to be. And they were like, there's no way we can do this in 9 months. And the state of these things on the previous gen consoles is going to drag the entire thing down. And that's what happened with Cyberpunk. And so there's a case to be made there to the publisher side of like, we can't expose ourselves to that potential PR risk.
And truth be told, the publisher probably was accepting of that from the standpoint of that they published Cyberpunk.
Right.
So they were probably like, yeah, it's probably a good call to just drop the last gen support. Probably no pushback from the publishing side. So I think that that's good news. I appreciate developers and publishers making those type of decisions because we don't need any more Cyberpunks. I feel like those type of situations are stains on the industry.
I feel bad for I feel bad for the handful of devs or potentially more who were saying the entire time, we shouldn't be developing for last gen. We shouldn't be developing for last gen. We should be targeting next gen only. And they sunk all this time and cost into last gen to try to make it work, to expand the market base. And they eventually had to pull the plug on it. And, like what did they have to sacrifice in development time and resources and potential features and extra content and all that kind of stuff.
And sales. Like you're sacrificing sales. Like, there's no way this game's going to sell anywhere near what it was going to sell when it had Xbox One and PlayStation 4 support. So, and I mean, it's going to sell a good amount just based on the fact that it is a Batman IP game.
Sure.
It's going to have a guaranteed fan base initially from the jump who's going to buy this game, but it's going to sell a lot less. And I hope this doesn't affect the studio in any way, because I think they're a talented developer. I think, they made Arkham Origins, which is a really good game. And this is the first game since then, right, Ben?
Yeah, I think and I think it's their second game total. Because I think
crazy.
Yeah, so I hope this doesn't affect. I hope the sales number, the expected to me low sales numbers, is not going to affect them in any way in terms of their future. But yeah, I think that.
Here's a question, because this is a Batman game with no Batman. In the marketing, allegedly. I am confident that you will be able to play as Batman by the end of this game. I believe it wholeheartedly. So the question that I want to ask is, do they spoil that in the marketing to get a little more buzz off of this?
I don't think I would do anything, to be honest. Like,
you don't think confirming that Batman is in the game,
right? I think
I feel like this game. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think a week out, it's just something happens to leak out saying that Batman's in the game. I think that would help their sales a lot, honestly.
Here's why I think it might actually be a negative, because I don't know, something about this game screams Avengers. Like it just screams it to me. just in terms of what they presented this game as, and me looking at the gameplay, it looks like Avengers with more Arkham-esque combat, a more focus on melee than Avengers did. But still, that multiplayer focus of it is, to me, Avengers-esque. I know it's not the same, like, one-to-one. But I don't know. If you show gameplay of Batman and it doesn't look as good as the Arkham games, I don't think that's a good thing. Like, that's the same thing with what happened to Spider-Man. Like, I remember that they put Spider-Man in Avengers, and the first thing on the YouTube video is, I'd rather play Spider-Man for PS4.
Yeah.
So I don't know if putting Batman in is such a great idea, at least in the marketing. I feel like having that be a sweet surprise might be better. Because I don't think this game wants those comparisons to art. Because this game's kind of avoided being compared to those Arkham games. I think putting Batman in might start those comparisons, and I don't think
it's gonna be compared regardless.
That's true. I think it would do more good than harm in this case.
Definitely.
Just because it's Batman. Batman sells.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you guys though, because this is really the first time we've seen a developer say they're going to come out for PS4 and all of that, and then drop last gen support. And we're about like a year and a half into the next gen in quotes consoles right now. Do you guys think this will be the start of, okay, now we're developing only for the current gen? We're not going to do last gen support anymore, really? Like, do you guys think this is maybe a turning point for the industry in terms of games releasing?
I think we're a year out from that being like a normal thing.
Really?
I think we're a year out because they're not making the systems at a high enough clip yet. There's still chip shortage issues, and there's still millions of PlayStation 4 and Xbox Ones out there. To me, it's just a recipe for we should probably try to release all these games, especially when you see a game like Horizon that is still one of the best looking game I've ever seen. And it's on PlayStation 4. And to me, I didn't see any compromises graphics wise. So all those things I feel are going to justify to a lot of these developers and publishers. Let's continue this while we can, as long as we can.
Yeah, but I do think that this is an acceptance on the part of WB that this shit ain't easy, and it isn't easy to do what Guerrilla did in offering a fantastic experience that plays wonderfully and looks amazing on the old consoles, and then has all the bells and whistles on the new consoles. It's not as simple as saying you're going to do it, So, and again, like Cyberpunk paints the picture of the potential horror story of what happens if you promise that you're going to be on last gen and you can't really make it happen. And in some cases, delays aren't an option, or delays are a less palatable option to try to make sure everything is in order. I mean, in the case of Cyberpunk, there were many delays, and they felt like we can't do it again. We can't delay again. Yeah, so I don't know what other like big games aside from Ragnarok. What other big games are we expecting are going to have this kind of cross-gen support?
Hogwarts, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Hogwarts is on Switch, so yeah. Obviously, all the sports games are going to probably come out for the systems until.
But I mean, like things that are confirmed and things that are not annualized releases where you would kind of expect it for a long time.
Is Final Fantasy 16 PlayStation 5 exclusive?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah,
I know Forspoken is. I wasn't for sure about Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I think it's just Hogwarts and Ragnarok.
I mean, because we're really thinking about it, most of the games that were announced at those press conferences have been released. At least
Saints Row. Is that going to be?
I think that's for everything.
Yeah, Saints Row.
Yeah.
Can't think of many.
That's all the game.
Starfield's exclusive for series consoles.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, is it?
I
don't know that.
So I think in terms of like, I think once we get out, I think once Ragnarok comes out, I think that will be one of the last big games that is going to be PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. And I do think the announcements coming in are probably going to be exclusive.
Current
Because at some
gen
point you do have to cut the cord.
Right.
Yeah, I do think at some point they're going to do, but I don't know when. It's hard to say.
The longer it goes on, the more likely Nintendo releases a new fucking platform soon. Like,
We can only hope.
we can only hope.
We don't
Like,
know.
any even then, like they're gonna be holding on to the Switch for a while after.
Yeah.
So, like,
Well,
time's a ticking.
time's a ticking, and I don't. Go ahead.
Last question on Gotham Knights. Are you guys all going to play it? And who do you want to main?
I'm for sure playing it. Not
gonna play
Red Hood. He has guns. What's going on? What's going on?
That
with rubber bullets.
his gameplay looked bad. His gameplay
Yeah, it
looked
looked
bad. I like Nightwing's gameplay just fine, and I like Robin and Batgirl.
I wasn't loving Nightwing. A little too acrobatic for me. So I'm hoping either Batgirl or Robin are a little more simple.
It's Dick Grayson.
I know.
Yeah, I love Nightwing as a character. I
That's all I'm saying.
just have a thing for Nightwing, so I think he's gonna be my main. But Taylor, are you gonna play?
Probably not. I loved Arkham Asylum. But I'm not a huge. I don't normally love Batman games.
Yep.
So
enough.
it's not a game that I'm looking forward to. I might play it with a friend, but if I had to choose out of the list, probably just Robin, because
Classic.
Is it Jason Todd?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay. I didn't know if it was Damien or not.
Yeah, I'll be there day one though.
Isn't Jason Todd the Red Hood? Who's the Red Hood?
And you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely you're right about
But it's
that.
the third Robin, who is.
So it's Damien. So is Damien as Robin?
No, Damien's the fourth Robin. I can't remember who the third
God.
Robin is.
Wait. Oh, Tim Drake. Tim Drake.
Tim Drake. That's right.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. Is Damien? Is that what you said?
Damien. That's Bruce's son.
Is it him?
I'm looking it up right now.
bunch of
W
fucking
can't-
comic book nerds.
Nerds.
It shouldn't be that
Dorks.
hard to figure out, right? But apparently it is.
Okay. Maybe they haven't said.
Maybe we'll get a
Drake?
Batwoman upgrade too.
Tim Drake.
I don't know.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
That makes
All right, whatever.
sense. well,
Tell us in the comments.
besides the nerdy Batman lore that we had to look up, let's get to our next topic, which is quite an interesting one because we're getting more into what Xbox is planning. They don't have anything coming out this year, but they are rumored to be getting a streaming stick. And I'm mildly interested in it just for the sake of if it's going to be cheap, it's possible this could introduce a lot of people to games they weren't going to play.
That's a good point. Yeah,
Mhm.
like
Bundle it
Stadia
with
for
Xbox
grown-ups.
Game Pass. Exactly, yeah. So as far as a price point, because the rumors are that this is actually coming sometime this year. So I'm guessing maybe like a holiday like kind of release to, get all that holiday money. But I'm picturing, I don't know, like a similar price scheme to like Luna or something like that, where it comes with the controller and the streaming stick, and it's like $100 or something like that. Like it comes with an Xbox controller or something like that.
Probably 3 months of Game Pass.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, a nice little something to sweeten the treat, sweeten the pot.
Right.
Um,
The only thing I'm
That's-
concerned about though is because obviously this would be using Xbox cloud gaming, I'm assuming, which for some games it's great, like turn-based JRPGs, things that you don't need latency or super tight low latency for. But for other games, I can see this going the complete opposite way, where it's just so laggy. And I'm curious as to what the experience is going to be.
I will say it's come a long way because I used it last week because I remember I was I didn't feel like adding anything else to my Xbox, but I was like, you know what, I feel like playing One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. And so I just played the cloud version and I didn't really feel any slowdown at all, like at all. And now did I feel that I was streaming a game? I did. I could tell, but it didn't feel that bad. And so I do think it depends on obviously internet connection. And that's going to vary throughout the world. But I do feel like if they're confident enough to release a streaming stick, they're confident that this is only going to improve. And to me, I've seen a tangible improvement from probably the 10 or 11 times I've tried it. It's only gotten better each time.
Fair enough.
So I'm
Xbox, Microsoft's in the position to make streaming games palatable. They have the know-how and the experience.
So was Google, though.
Well,
but the thing is with Google, I don't ever think it was the streaming. It was the fact that they had the horrible just like strategy of selling the game.
Yeah, of buying and
Like,
selling.
I feel like
and
that's what
you owned it, but you
like,
didn't.
I didn't play Stadia like that, but as far as I understand it, like the actual technology was really sound, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, it is.
All I know is
that's the way to play Cyberpunk for a long time. Like it was really good. That was the one game that really showcased how powerful the tech was. It was just marketed horribly, and the buying all those games just didn't really make sense.
Yeah, and all of their developers that they were supposed to have first party, like they jump shipped. Their marketing was bad. Like it seemed like they didn't believe in their product in true Google fashion, where they just announce something and then it dies slowly.
Very Google-esque.
I once made a commercial for an IT company, and I went into their offices and they had a throne of Stadia controllers. They were like, they're like, we're not going to play them. What are we going to do with them?
So. Stadia seems like a bad dream. I remember that was like a big thing, and then it wasn't.
They shelled out for the advertising on those. They really it was like do you remember Quibi? Do you remember Quibi?
Oh yeah. The shows like the app,
the vertical show app. They spent millions on advertising, and it didn't work because the product just wasn't there. Like you can advertise all you want, but if no one wants your product, then it just sucks.
I feel like we're gonna get like a Quibi documentary or like a Quibi Netflix series about what really happened there.
What happened, John?
That whole thing doesn't seem like it made sense at all. I could have told them, yeah, no one's gonna watch 5-minute videos on their phone. Like,
I mean, in the same vein, I would kind of want a documentary of Stadia like that too.
Yeah,
I would too. Yeah, absolutely, I would too. Because, but just the point was like the technology is there. I don't think Xbox is even to Stadia's like. As far as tech wise, like I feel like tech wise, Stadia was really sound. Like I never heard of any issues. Like of my friends who tried it, they loved it. They just hated the fact they had to buy these games again.
Yeah, but the difference is, I think the difference is that Xbox is like a very established gaming company that gamers trust. So even for me, like I'm not an Xbox fanboy per se, but with them coming out with Game Pass and seeing how much of a success that was, them already having the cloud technology and it working well enough, like I think that they can make the streaming stick work as well.
Let's be fair, Alfredo. You're not a fan, but you do have all the merch. You do have the Master Chief underwear. You have. I mean,
that's a secret.
Other than that, you're not a fan. Yeah.
Right. This is the thing. I used to feel pretty optimistic about the future of streaming, and to an extent I still do, but I feel like it's far out, and right now it's only valuable as a supplemental thing in my mind, as an additional way to access games for somebody who is already in games. The question I ask is like, who is this for? I can see a small subset of the video game market that could be interested in something like this. Those people are already hardcore and already play Game Pass a lot. So it's people who have multiple TVs in their house, but don't have multiple Xboxes and can't afford or don't want multiple Xboxes. You can have your stick in one room and stream your Xbox to the stick. It's people who travel a lot and don't want to take their Xbox with them, but can plug it into the hotel TV. This is not for people who don't play video games, though.
But
nothing increases accessibility about video games except the intro price, and then the experience is worse.
I don't know, because I just like if let's say Minecraft's on Game Pass, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
like,
so.
Yes.
I can see a parent buying this instead of a Xbox if they
I don't see a parent
Minecraft at
buying it.
a
No,
because it's cheaper than an Xbox.
Yeah, but
it's significantly cheaper.
More and more parents every day. More and more parents don't want their kids playing they don't want a library of video games. They want their kids to be playing a fishing game on their iPad. They don't want their kids playing Roblox. They don't want I wouldn't want my kid playing Roblox. God no. That's a weird pervert website. But
I'm saying for the parents who do want their kids to get into video games, but maybe can't afford to buy an Xbox. And you can buy Game Pass in this thing, and you're paying $100, and you have access to like 200 games.
We discussed it not too long ago. What's Microsoft's best-selling game right now? Most profitable game?
Probably.
It's Candy Crush.
Is it?
Yeah.
Assuming the Activision Blizzard deal goes through, it will be, right?
Yeah.
But,
so it's that's sort of also I'll just while we're talking about streaming games, let's not forget about Netflix, because I don't think they're going to be streaming games anytime soon after their huge failings and debacles and stock price drops. They're probably they canceled everything they were working on for Schlock, because do you think the market's there right now, especially for people to be streaming stuff? Adding more streaming services to their already bloated streaming app collections,
more subscriptions.
I think it's much more valuable. I do agree with Ben. It's much more valuable to the people who are already ingrained in gaming culture to go out and buy a system and play that game. You want your kid to play video games? Buy a Switch.
No, what I'm saying is this is a cheaper option. That's my point. It's just a cheap. It's probably the cheapest option to get into any of the mainstream consoles.
Sure.
That, sure. And that's valuable to a.
Are you comparing this to Plug and Play?
What's that?
Do you remember those? You go to Walmart, you can buy the Plug and Play.
The controllers, you plug it in.
No, I don't remember those. I forgot those existed, but yeah,
the AV cables, you just plugged them in. You got a knockoff.
My dad used to have one of those for Galaga. Yeah,
that's what you're describing sounds like though.
Well, it's 5 games on them though. This would be you have access to Game Pass, and if let's say Fortnite's on Game Pass, right? All the Call of Duties are on Game Pass. Are going to be on Game Pass.
You don't think every kid in the world's already playing Fortnite on their phones, on their computers, on Switch? Yeah,
that's true.
I think it'll be down to how it's marketed ultimately,
right?
And I do think Ben has a point in saying is for the hardcore gamers, and it reminds me actually of what PlayStation did with PlayStation TV. It sounds like a very similar comparison where you can bring this into your extra room and have it streaming from your Xbox.
That was definitely ahead of its time.
Yeah, and it sounds like Xbox streaming stick might be more successful than that nowadays, especially with Xbox Game Pass.
The potentially, I think the potentially better play here that I saw, I don't know if it was in this article or another one, is that apparently Xbox is in talks with Samsung to get Game Pass as part of the smart TV ecosystem on Samsung TVs.
That would be smart.
So there's nothing extra needed. You do need a controller, but it's just there among your apps, like Netflix, right? It just lives there. So you see it all the time, and you ask yourself, "What is this?"
Put it on your Fire Stick. Yeah,
To me, that is definitely a better play than the stick itself. I think that it being an app is the way to go. Having it, let's say, you're at a hotel and you can just on the TV, just go to Game Pass and just log your information and just play on the random TV in the hotel. Just random. I think that
accessible.
Yeah, I think that is to me better than a streaming stick. So I do think the streaming stick has potential, but I do think overall getting to just being an app is probably where they need to be.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I mean, we discussed last week Game Pass on iPhones kind of overriding Apple's monopoly on games that Riot was so upset about.
Right.
So yeah, I think just keep pushing out apps. Make apps more. Make your Xbox app a little bit more wide ranging. Hit everything you can. Put it on the PlayStation. Who cares? Who cares?
Sony cares.
Who care? I don't care. I don't care what you think, Sony.
This is
You
I just can't. Maybe this is my hang up, but I can't get past the thought now, and this is a very different argument than what I would have made when Stadia was on its cusp. And I play PS Now plenty. I stream games plenty. I enjoy it. It's a great option again, but I can't get past the idea that it only exists as a supplemental thing right now, and it cannot break past that supplemental barrier until the people who are interested in games already, who play games at the bottom echelon of like, do I care about frame rate? Do I care about graphics? People who really don't give a shit. They're like, just give me an interesting experience.
sure.
To where streaming is good enough for all of those people to be like, nah, I don't need a PS5. I got a stick. Think about the delta between your experience watching a movie on Netflix and your experience watching the 4K Blu-ray of the movie. There are some people who care enough about the fidelity of the film to get the 4K Blu-ray and will hold out on watching it, or have to go to the movie theater, right, to see it. They don't want to see it on the small screen before they've seen it on the big screen, right? But the difference between those experiences is so small.
Yeah, I agree.
And the difference right now in experience between streaming and playing something natively, even on an older generation console like the PS4, even on the PS3, streaming PS3 games through PS Now, the difference there is still big enough that even the people on the bottom tier who are like, I don't care at all, I'm not a graphics whore, I just give me the good experience, are still going to want to shell out the extra couple hundred for the console.
Yeah, that makes me think, though. That makes me think, because maybe we're looking at this from a very American perspective. What if the streaming or some form of streaming would be more beneficial in other countries that don't have the import of those consoles as much? India has probably a huge gaming market, and they can barely get their hands on consoles.
Yeah.
Like you put a stick out there for 100 rupees, they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. There's hundreds of potential markets out there for this thing, but I don't think the US is that market. We're spoiled little brats in the US. We have a bunch of snobs out there who do care about the frame rate and the voxels and all that.
That's a good point, but I also have to ask for those like market sectors, what does their internet infrastructure look like?
That's what I was going to
ask.
Is it better? Is it worse?
It varies for sure, depending on what you're talking about.
So in the markets where the difference in cost is gonna matter a lot more, or the accessibility of it is gonna matter a lot more, thinking about countries like Japan that do almost all of their gaming on mobile, and getting Game Pass on a phone, how much of that is a difference maker for that market? Because so much of that is done there, or like in Korea, where like pretty much all gaming is done on mobile or PC.
Or in the dirt in North Korea. They just pretend.
We don't know about the gamer market in North Korea.
I'll stop making fun of North Korea when you let people play games. Let gamers rise up, North Korea. Gamers rise up.
Well said. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So like, it's definitely a multifaceted problem, but I am like bearish on streaming at this point, outside of the context of giving people who are already hardcore more options. That I love it for, but everything else, we're not ready for a revolution yet.
I would say, like, honestly, I think we discussed something similar to this last year, and I think it was on a similar like wavelength where I'm like, streaming's coming, it's going to be the way of the future. But yeah, right now, seeing how streaming's going, like streaming services are hurting. They're not doing their best. They're not living their best lives. They're not out drinking rosé on a weekend. They're fighting. They're fighting for their life. And I just don't see it. I think having the hardware in your house is always going to trump not having something physical, not always having access to it for a long time. Yeah.
I think we're still far enough off. I will say, like, I don't believe that we will never get to the place where streaming is the more viable option. I think that's not even that far away. I think it's just still years away. I think it's probably like 10 years away. But I know that, like, to say that, like, you're always gonna want to have the console in your house basically sounds like you're always gonna want to go to the movie theater. And the answer to that is no, you're not. You're pretty much only going to want to go to the movie theater for the big action spectacles, and everything else you're going to want to sit in your house.
Fair.
It's better in your house.
Well,
Comfortable in your house.
Yeah.
Good comparison.
Speaking of, COVID could have shut down movie theaters, but it didn't, and I'm really upset at COVID for that. I'm really upset.
You should be upset at Spider-Man. Spider-Man saved the movies.
Yeah.
I went specifically.
Specifically. He
went to
swung in and saved it.
Doctor Strange twice, right? Both times in theaters, horrible experiences. Guy next to me, first time, big theater, IMAX theater. First time, guy sitting right next to me, got seated next to me. He was touching his cock. Like all the time. He just kept rubbing down there and he kept burping and making these weird grunts. And I was like, oh God, this is the worst movie experience. And then the next time,
he couldn't control how Benedict Cumberbatch made him feel. Okay.
That's fair. That's fair. Second time I went, some fucking dickhead in the back row kept yelling like slurs, and then every single time Patrick Stewart showed up on screen, he went bald, and it was the worst.
It's like you had a great time.
I think you have bad luck. This might be on you, Clams.
COVID could have shut down these horrible forms of human interactions. They're goddamn movie theaters are the worst.
You just gotta switch movie theaters, I think. Was it the same movie theater?
No, they were different. The first one,
it's just
IMAX. The second one, like a little indie movie theater on our little downtown mall. Like two different strokes. Literally different strokes. I mean, God damn.
I haven't had many bad experiences since the movie theaters opened up, but when I went to go see Jujutsu Kaisen 0, some lady did bring a baby. She did bring a baby in.
No,
I'm like, this is not the movie to bring a kid in. But
why not? It's a cartoon.
Yeah. But there's somebody who said in the middle of the movie, I will throw a kernel at that baby, and the baby was shut up. I don't know if she did. I don't know if she did, but she shut that baby up after he said that.
Good for them. But that said, I think that anecdote metaphor kind of slips away because, like, I don't think we're ever going to get to the point where I'm horribly offended by my PlayStation 4, where I am movie theaters. I think I'm super comfortable with it. I will stream movies, but video games, nah. Make that something else. I'm fine with that. It would take a lot. I think it would take a lot right now for you to convince me that I should stream my games. And I think for a while, I really don't see it happening.
Well, we shall see. You know what we do see happening? We got some rapid fire going on. First off the rapid fire list, and the fact that this is a rapid fire shows how impotent this conference was, because we had a Nintendo Indie World Showcase.
What are you talking about? It was great.
I got one game. I got one game out of it, Alfredo.
What? I got a ton.
I got Batora Lost Haven, which looks like an interstellar Diablo. It's really good. I'm looking forward to that. I hope it's released on other things so I don't have to play it on Switch, because that trailer looked really graphically impressive, and there's no way it's gonna look like that on Switch. So
No Man's Sky on Switch yet?
I think so.
Yeah, it is. It sure is.
I might have to play that on Switch. I want to see.
That has to look super grainy. There's no way it looks good.
Try it out. Try it out and see.
Let us know next week after you drop the 60.
No. No. Never mind. I changed my mind.
But I don't know what you were talking about, Thomas, because I was pleasantly surprised by this indie showcase. Yeah, we didn't get like, I don't know, Hollow Knight Silksong, but we got some pretty good looking games. Gunbrella, you weren't impressed by that?
No.
Gunbrella looked amazing. You have a gun, it's an umbrella, 2D side scroller, looked amazing, great pixel art.
I played Into the
There are
Gungeon.
so many gun games, Alfredo.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was nothing like Into the Gungeon, nothing.
Into the Gungeon, you got Nuclear Throne, you got the one with God and the little fetus boy, and he's running around. And...
Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, Binding of Isaac.
Binding of Isaac. I don't need I don't care.
See, you're biased because you just heard Gunbrella and you're putting it off. Look at the
I hate
trailer.
guns. I hate guns.
It'll be great. Devolver Digital also. Another game, another Crab's Treasure. Look great.
Great. I already played Crab Nicholson's Extreme Home Sleepover. I'm good.
Look
I played my fair fill of crab games in the past. I've got crabs out the wazoo.
Well,
Okay?
this one's a Souls-like game as a crab.
Oh, great.
So,
Another one of those. I'm just got to beat Elden Ring 3 more times before I can get to the next Souls-like.
It's a crab-like game. Here we go.
Yeah, you guys are haters, but it did what I really liked about it was it brought me back to the days of like 2000 like action adventure games, like
back when you were a crab fisherman off the coast
it looked
of Maine.
like it looked good though. It did look good. Anyway, there's a game called Soundfall, which was like a kind of like a bullet hell.
I'm sorry, that game actually did look pretty good. I'm sorry, that one did actually look pretty good.
And it came out the same day.
Oh wow!
So there's that.
Cool.
There's a game that Clams love called Elekhead.
That looked cute. I like a little neat platformer. I do.
Mm-hmm. Made by one person as well.
Wow.
Nama Takahashi.
Cool.
And one last one I want to give a shout out to is a game called Ooblets, which is kind of like Stardew Valley, but you also get to like create.
Pokemon.
Yeah, it's kind of like Pokemon meets Stardew Valley. Looks cool.
I played that before.
I feel like that came out. Yeah.
Yeah, I played that on somebody's PC like maybe 2 years ago.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely been out on Steam.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I liked it. It was fine. So, it'll be cool on Switch.
This indie showcase did tell me though that I'm actually gonna trick myself again and tell myself I'm looking forward to Splatoon 3.
Why is that?
Because I saw some gameplay footage and I like the idea of Splatoon. I really dig Splatoon. But every single time I buy a Splatoon game, the first one, really hyped for, I played it, I sucked. I kept playing it, I sucked. I kept playing it, I sucked. And I didn't really come away with anything. Second time, came out again, Splatoon 2. I played it, I was a little better, still pretty bad. And I just didn't get into the game. But I really like it. I really think it's neat. I really just want
to like it.
I want to like Splatoon. I really want to like Splatoon.
I feel your pain. I bought Splatoon 2. I played it a bit. I wish Splatoon 2 wasn't made by Nintendo. Truth be told, I wish that was just a game that you could play on any console. Because I feel like it being stuck on a Switch. I'm sorry, I don't like playing shooters on the Switch. I don't know if it's just me. Like the Switch, how it feels to me, does not work for shooters.
Now, neither does a Pro controller. There you go.
I've tried, even that doesn't, because my thing is, if it's on a Pro controller, that means I'm playing it docked, and it means the game's gonna look bad. So it's the one, like, I have the Switch because it's a portable system to me. Like if I put it on the dock and I'm playing this like Wolfenstein, it's like, why would I not just play that on Game Pass?
Fair.
Yeah.
So I wish Splatoon was a multi-platform type game that I could play on PC, I could play on Game Pass. The fact that I have to play it on Switch is a detriment to me, which is probably why I'm never going to play that franchise again.
I'll give it a shot. That's all I thought about the indie showcase is one of their main games is because I watched the showcase and
that's what you got. Wait, that's what you got out of
the indie showcase. You're like, I'll play a Nintendo first party.
Yeah, well, because like you finish the showcase and it's like up next, and I'm like, oh, it's 14 minutes of Splatoon 3 gameplay. Okay, I'll
So
watch
the, so the only thing you got out of the indie showcase was the recommended video afterwards.
that. Yeah, kind of.
That's great. Ben, anything from you?
I didn't even know this existed. Rapid fire. On to the next one.
Right. So we have a name change going on. The classic franchise, FIFA, is no longer called FIFA, and it will be called EA Sports FC. Why? What?
$1 billion is the answer. $1 billion is what FIFA wanted for the license.
Which
over
I
the
have,
years.
I have to say, when I saw that, I was like, you out-eviled EA.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Listen.
insane. Like, I don't understand how, like, because there's a lot of, like, FIFA has always been known to be super shady. They've had all sorts of issues, from tax issues. So it's like they're known for shady stuff. I was like, that kind of fits with how I've always viewed the FIFA organization anyways.
I love the Arabian Peninsula, but you guys have had it too good for too long. You're making too much money. You own all the soccer. Cut it out. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, cut it out. You're greedy. You're getting greedy. You're going to ruin soccer for anyone who watches soccer. All 15 of them. You're going to ruin it.
I have a question about the story. Okay, so it's called EA Sports FC for football club, right?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, first of all. But okay, so this is going to be FIFA moving forward, just not called FIFA, right?
It's gonna be the same
It's
exact
gonna be
game.
the same. It's gonna be the same game.
Okay.
Like, they still have all the rights to the teams. Like, none of that has changed.
Yeah.
Which is the big reason why FIFA is what FIFA is. Like, there was a point in time where I was really into FIFA. Like, I used to love FIFA, play it online every day. And there's only one FIFA competitor, and it's called PES, and it's no longer called PES. It's called something different, and they went free to play. So FIFA basically competes with itself because they're the only one that has all the rights to all the teams.
So they're technically still working together, EA and FIFA. They're just not being able to.
No.
They're
they're
not.
not working together. I wouldn't call it working
Okay.
together. Like, FIFA just gives them the rights to use the teams.
Okay.
The rights to use the teams and the players are handled totally separately from
Right.
I see.
the overall organization, which is FIFA. I think it's different than like how the NFL is organized. Probably because there's so many different countries involved.
Because the NFL is a shield that everybody's
Right.
under. FIFA,
That's what I thought FIFA was kind of
FIFA
like.
it's because there's way more teams, and it's like we're talking hundreds of teams. So each one of them kind of negotiates their own thing. Like, I know, what was it? Juventus went with another game. And so in FIFA, they couldn't be used. And that was a team with Ronaldo on it. So it was one of the bigger teams, and they were not in the game. They were in the game as like some random team you had to find.
Wait, how are they not in the game? They're EA Sports.
What do you mean?
They're in the game.
It's in the game.
It's in the game.
In the game.
EA Sports flew right over you, Thomas.
They did, right? Right. Oh my gosh. But yeah,
I just want to read the quote from Gianni Infantino, who is the association's president.
Of course, he is. What other job would you have with that name?
This quote: "I can assure you that the only authentic, real game that has the FIFA name will be the best one available for gamers and football fans."
Well, there you have it.
Take it to the bank.
So wait, they're developing their own soccer game after that?
No, they're probably gonna license it out to a bunch of other studios.
Oh man.
But they are saying as part of this, they want to broaden out the license, so it's not going to be one FIFA game anymore.
Oh God,
it'll probably be a few different things.
that's horrible.
With all the soccer fans out there, I'm sorry.
Good luck. Are you gonna get EA Sports FC? Or are you gonna get FIFA? I don't know. FIFA Neo FIFA.
I always
Vida.
just kind of wait because they typically go on sale really cheap at some point. And I just like playing FIFA. I don't care what year it is. So FIFA 2022 is the PlayStation Plus game of the month. So I'll probably be playing this for the next 2 years.
Well, if you're interested in playing a sports game, I can tell you there's a great deal going on in Charlottesville. MLB The Show is available everywhere.
Oh my gosh. Wonder why. But our last topic in our rapid fire, Ubisoft has announced that they are going to do everything possible to remain independent. Do we believe
I don't think
them?
that's the quote. I don't think that's the
Is that-
quote. And in
that's not the
fact,
quote?
I think the quote is much squishier and indicates to
it-
me that they are trying to look. They're trying to up their price because they don't need to be bought.
Right. The quote is more along the lines of, "We have everything we need to remain independent." ... But kind of like that.
Do we know why? Like, why are they so interested in getting bought?
I think because they see all of the money that Microsoft is over here throwing around to every other company.
Because
Like,
their
is
games aren't good?
independence not as valued as it once was?
Dang, that's a question for the founding fathers. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
I think it's a different question or a different answer depending on who you ask. Like for gamers, I think it definitely is, but for companies, it's a no. Like they are willing, to
There's
accept
so
the
much
aid.
M&A money floating around right now.
Right.
There's so much M&A money. Everybody's salivating. So
Mhm.
it's no surprise that Ubisoft is also salivating. However, they have avoided being acquired in the past. And it seems like Yves Guillemot wants control of Ubisoft. It seems like money is not the only thing that matters there. But if the partner is right and the price is right, I mean, I think
could this ruin? And the real question our viewers are asking is: could this ruin the chances of another Mario Rabbids game? That's the
what
real
I want to know is
nothing will stop that franchise.
Right. It's too powerful.
Does this stop the absolute destruction of the Tom Clancy name?
Oh no!
And the answer is no.
Will we get a good Assassin's Creed?
Never.
Probably not.
Will Splinter Cell return?
No.
I don't know. I think it could if someone like a Microsoft were to buy Ubisoft.
Let's be real. It's going to be Splinter Cell Go for iPhone and Android. That's what we're going to get.
Hell
yeah. And we would all love that.
Where's the next Far Cry taking place? Guess now.
DC.
DC.
Honestly,
wow. That's a good that's a good pick, actually.
I think that would be kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for you.
I'm interested to see what happens with Ubisoft because I don't think that any of the big companies or not big companies, but the main ones, Sony, Microsoft, I don't think they're in line to get Ubisoft.
I could see Microsoft doing it only because Ubisoft does have so many iconic franchises or like franchises that could be so much more than what Ubisoft does with it. And I could definitely see Microsoft coming in and say, hey, let's like make Splinter Cell like a thing like every couple of years. Like, let's revive this. Oh, Beyond Good and Evil, like 2 isn't doing so hot. Like, let's try to fix that. I could see them like coming in and getting the right people in where they need to be and helping those franchises, do better than what they are.
Let's get a good division. Let's get a new Child of Light out there. That's what I want.
Hey, that's a good reference. I forgot about that game.
Yeah, I forgot about that game, didn't you? That means they should make another because that was a good game.
Absolutely. Last question before we go. It's the most important question of the whole night. Is it Ubisoft or Ubisoft?
Ubiquitous software.
I'll tell you what. When I play their games, I be soft.
Oh, but
got him. Got me. I don't know.
Are we really
bringing the jokes tonight?
Are we really ending it like that?
Yeah, that's the end. Goodbye. Have a great night, everyone. Hey, I know times are tough, but
I be soft. Now, I want to thank everybody for listening or watching the Dukes of Gaming podcast. Again, you can listen to us on your favorite podcast service, watch us on YouTube and Twitch. Leave a like, a review, a comment, anything to help support the show. You can even email us at therealdukesofgaming.com at gmail.com. Have your question read live on air on Cole's mailbag when he is here. Hit the bell as well for notifications on when we drop our latest videos. You could get us. Oh, lost my train of thought. Sorry. We post everywhere, every week. So make sure you start your week right with the Dukes of Gaming.
Hey. Invest in Luna. Dukes of Gaming tip.
Invest in Stadia. It's not dead yet, right?
Invest in crypto in general.
Buy the dip.
NFTs.
And also, Thomas, you're fired for messing up the ad.
Yeah, you're fired, Thomas. Get the fuck out of here.
So I guess with all that being said, I bid thee in this company